Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Top 50 Packaging Ideas Showcase. Thank you for joining us today. I am Kyle Shea, Director of Digital Media at Annex Business Media, and I will be your host for today's event. We wish we could all get together in the same place to meet some of the most innovative suppliers of the best new packaging materials, containers, machines, and automation options, but, COVID. So since we can't, we've launched an expo that is as close to an in-person event as possible. There's plenty of opportunities on this platform to ask questions and share your greatest packaging ideas. Browse attendees and send them a message on the networking tab. Type comments or questions in a public chat boxes on the right of your screen. And please don't forget to visit our exhibit hall, where you can connect with leading packaging suppliers by chat or video call. To help you make the most of these opportunities, you'll find a looping video in the lobby and on our trade show breaks that explains these features. And I'm sure Stephen Dean is lurking around out there as well. He'll be happy to chat with you on the chat feature. On the left menu bar, you'll also see a showcase tab. Some of our sponsors and exhibitors have a new product or service they're excited to draw your attention to. So please visit our showcase page to watch our product demos on some of the latest packaging ideas. Today, we have three exceptional keynotes, one of which will start in a few minutes, looking at the journey to deliver the world's most sustainable food package. Our second keynote, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, will address key priorities and challenges for packaging and processing operations in 2021, and what strategies CPGs are employing to address these. Our final keynote at 3 p.m. Eastern will take a look at kickstarting your sustainability strategy with Michael Graff. In addition, we have a number of on-demand sessions, recordings available to watch at any time. These sessions are recordings taken from our previous virtual event on packaging in e-commerce. With retail giants like Walmart, Loblaws, Metro, and all other leading retailers spending millions of dollars each day to grow their online sales, we thought it would be worthwhile to invite some of the packaging industry's leading insiders and stakeholders to offer their take of how today's CPG manufacturers and brand owners can ride the wave of this e-commerce boom to grow their business by leveraging their product packaging to take advantage of the limitless opportunities that e-commerce has to offer. Well, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? Before we begin, we wanted to thank our gold sponsors, without whom this event would not be possible. Harpak Ulma, MPAC, Langen, and Schubert. With that out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy the first ever virtual Top 50 Packaging Ideas Showcase. The first keynote presentation is by Jordan Fengel, Sustainability Manager, US and Canada, TetraPak. Prior to joining TetraPak, he was the Executive Director of the State of Texas Alliance for Recycling, or STAR. Sounds perfect for Texas, where he advanced a circular economy and supported the recycling industry in Texas. Before leading STAR, Jordan served as the Environmental Programs Coordinator for the city of Georgetown, Texas. He also spent more than a decade as a paramedic. Jordan earned a bachelor's degree in environmental management, is licensed in compost operations, and is certified in circular economy systems. Jordan, welcome to the Top 50 Packaging Ideas Showcase. Take it away.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Kyle. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today to tell you all about the race to create the world's most sustainable package. Before I get started, I want to share a video that really sets the tone of the importance of food packaging innovation and why innovation and R&D teams must make sustainability a priority. It's about a 5-minute video, so sit back and relax. Watch the show.
By 2050, the global population is predicted to reach 9.1 billion. That's 1/3 more mouths to feed, which will require 70% more food. Packaging plays an important role in keeping food safe, nutritious, and available for a growing number of people around the world. But it can also cause problems for our planet. Greenhouse gas emissions, depletion of fossil-based resources, waste in landfills, nature, and waterways. Plastic production reached 359 million metric tons in 2018. Recycling is part of the solution, but the world cannot rely on recycling alone. Despite high pressure and growing industry initiatives, only 9% of total plastic is recycled today. Although plastic can protect food products, it's usually made from fossil-based materials, putting pressure on finite resources and climate change. What about aluminium? Like plastic, it has protective attributes, but it requires strip mining, which has a high carbon footprint. What if there were a better alternative? Studies support that compared to plastic, glass and metal, our carton packages have a lower carbon footprint across the life cycle. Less than half the footprint of a plastic bottle for ambient dairy products. 2 to 3 times lower footprint than a plastic bottle for chilled dairy products. And 10 times lower footprint than a glass bottle for chilled dairy products. That's because our carton packages are made of about 70% paperboard, which comes from trees, and trees regenerate, taking up CO2 as they grow. However, our carton packages also contain thin layers of plastic and aluminium, which play a key role in securing food safety. So how can we create the ideal sustainable food package that both protects the planet and secures food safety and availability? To do so successfully, we believe we need to face 5 main challenges. We need to use renewable or recycled materials so we don't drain our planet's resources and source these in a way that protects biodiversity. We need to pursue carbon-neutral production and distribution of packaging to reduce the negative impact on climate. We must continue to make safe and convenient packages, ensuring we reduce food waste and that people everywhere have access to quality food. We must ensure all packaging is fully recyclable and build an integrated recycling system that keeps materials in use. And we need to maximize the use of materials with the lowest impact on nature, because waste systems are not optimal and not all materials can be infinitely recycled. Made mostly of renewable materials, paper-based carton packages have the full potential to address these challenges and protect nature from the beginning of the package's life cycle all the way to the end. At TetraPak, we're taking the lead on this journey towards the ideal sustainable food package. Today, 100% of TetraPak carton packages are certified by the FSC, and the sugarcane-based plastic is Bonsucra certified, meaning we only source materials responsibly contributing to the protection of biodiversity and supporting local people. We're committed to reaching net zero greenhouse gas emissions in our own operations and to using 100% renewable electricity by 2030, with the ambition to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions for the entire value chain by 2050. We continuously develop sustainable food packages that never compromise food safety and contribute to reducing food waste. We're working to reduce the use of aluminium and plastic while increasing the share of paper-based content in our packages. But we won't stop there. Our aim is to create cartons made fully of responsibly sourced renewable or recycled materials that are fully recyclable and carbon neutral. It's all part of our journey to deliver the world's most sustainable food package. We believe that with the support of our customers, collaborators, and partners, we can make a difference. Go nature, go carton. TetraPak protects what's good.
All right, and we're back. So I shared that video with you to really highlight a few key points about food packaging and really why it's so important for food, people, and our planet. So first, we know that the world's population is going to continue to increase. It's predicted that we're going to have around 9.1 billion people by 2050. And so data shows that it took nearly 200 years for us to go from 1 billion to 7 billion people. Now we are poised to add nearly 2 billion more people in just 29 years. With that exponential growth, there's going to be an even greater need for food and food that is safe. But today it's estimated that over a third of our food that we produce is wasted. And that's a hard stat to hear. From a personal standpoint, you may immediately think of how can we get that food to those that are hungry in our communities? And that's a very valid question. And there's a lot of active projects that are trying to address that and provide a solution. But there's an environmental impact that is making its way into headlines more and more these days. So going back to that point of more than a third of our food that we produce globally is wasted, that calculates to about 8% of the greenhouse gases put into our environment are completely for nothing. I shared this information to really reinforce that food packaging is essential to feed a growing population. So while food and beverage packaging is essential, we know that today there is no perfect package. The world's food production accounts for nearly 26% of the greenhouse gas emissions. And that means if food production were its own country, it would be third right behind the US and China as an annual producer of greenhouse gases. We know that plastics are effective packaging materials, but some of the plastics are made from fossil-based fuels. Also, aluminum has great protective qualities, but it's very carbon intensive to produce. So we have to balance the pros and cons of all of our materials, including those in our packaging, to really truly understand the impact of each package type. At TetraPak, we believe that food packaging needs to work for people and the planet. Nearly 7 decades ago, we introduced aseptic processing and packaging, and that allows for foods and beverages to remain on store shelves safe and nutritious for long periods of time before they're opened. Aseptic carton packaging, which commonly associated with things like milk, chicken broth, plant-based beverages, they already offer several sustainable benefits. We were founded on the principles of sustainability, and we continue to remain focused on protecting food, people, and the planet. And creating more sustainable packaging is not going to be done in a vacuum. Instead, we have to look across our entire value chain and work with our suppliers, our customers, or even entrepreneurs and startups to drive innovation focused on more sustainable solutions. And again, while we know that there's no perfect package, we believe that carton packages are one of the most sustainable options available today. In the package life cycle, it really demonstrates why cartons are unique using a holistic perspective. Our raw materials are responsibly sourced and primarily renewable feedstocks. Paperboard is about 70% of every carton, and that again is FSC certified, as you heard in the video. We also offer the plant-based plastics, which are Bond Sucro certified. I'll go over that in just a little bit. Production and distribution. So our factories are focused on sustainability as well. We've signed on to the RE100, which is committing us to 100% renewable energy by 2030. And in the US and Canada market, 100% of our facilities are already powered by renewable energy, well ahead of our goal. Last year, we set the ambitious goal to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions in our own operations by 2030, and an even more ambitious goal to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions across our entire value chain by 2050. Lastly, we also look at ways to reduce waste both in our own facilities and assist our customers in doing the same. And so in food production and consumption, I already mentioned aseptic packaging earlier, and that processing and packaging allows for foods to stay safe and nutritious on store shelves without refrigeration. A key point here is that there is no additional need for preservatives or additives to allow for that shelf stability without refrigeration. And that's a key point. I think that's a common misperception. And because a product like milk in aseptic cartons doesn't require refrigeration, it's less likely to spoil and get wasted if it doesn't get used quick enough. Also, since the aseptic or ambient technology, it doesn't require chilled distribution networks. And that means it's not reliant on fossil fuels for transportation, for storage, and for being in the shelf as well. And finally, our cartons are recyclable, but we know that's not good enough. At TetraPak, our ambition is to create the most sustainable package for food. So how are we going to do that? You heard a little bit about it in the video, but here's this roadmap of how we've developed the way that we're going to get to the most sustainable package. We've noted 5 specific challenges that we have to find a solution for. For our raw materials and sourcing, we must use the renewable or recycled materials that are responsibly sourced in a way that protects biodiversity and nature. Production and distribution, we want to maintain efficient manufacturing practices followed by responsible distribution. Again, ambient distribution and storage can really further reduce environmental impact. Food protection and consumption is we have to ensure food safety, convenience, and access while minimizing food waste. For recycling, we want all of our products to be fully recyclable and supported by an integrated recycling system that keeps materials in use as long as possible. And that really feeds into the end of life, where we have to maximize the use of materials with a low impact on nature, because not all materials can be infinitely recycled. How are we working to address these 5 challenges? Here's a little bit of a high-level look at some of our initiatives. Replacing aluminum with an alternative barrier. Innovations in equipment and processes to incorporate structural changes, gaining efficiency in water reduction, as well as energy efficiencies. Introducing food safe recycled materials. And so last month, we actually were publicly able to share that 2 TetraPak facilities in Europe are certified to produce packaging material and additional materials with attributed recycled polymers according to the RSB chain of custody mass balance attribution method. Kyle, there's another mouthful of words there for you. But RSB stands for the Roundtable on Sustainable Biomaterials. This makes TetraPak the first company in the food and beverage packaging industry to be awarded the RSB Advanced Products Certification. Also, we are working on ensuring full recyclability in existing waste streams and maximizing plant-based renewable content. You've heard a lot today already about our roadmap to the most sustainable package. And again, at TetraPak, we believe that we offer one of the most sustainable packaging options available today for all the reasons I've mentioned when talking about the package lifecycle. One area specifically that we're focused on is increasing the development and the use of plant-based materials. As I mentioned, our packages are made primarily of paperboard, which is a renewable material. So while 70% of our traditional carton is already plant-based, we know we can do more. And in recent years, we've made some significant strides in this area. Our overall vision is really to increase the share of renewable materials, removing layers of fossil fuel-based plastics and/or replacing them with plant-based alternatives. In 2019, TetraPak was the first food and beverage company to offer packaging with Bonsucro certified chain of custody plant-based polymers. So in our plant-based materials, two areas specifically I want to talk about are the coatings of the paperboard and the caps. We have a fully renewable gable top carton that was deployed in 2020 by one of our customers right here in the US. We continue to make significant investments so that more of our factories will be capable of using plant-based lamination. This year, we're also going to see an increased development of the increased deployment of the fully renewable gable top cartons, as well as a new deployment of aseptic cartons that are going to contain layers of plant-based polymers. Our caps on the cartons can also be made of plant-based polymers, and these are gaining traction in the US and Canada already, with an over 30% increase in market use from 2017 to 2019. In summary, our work in the plant-based plastics is just one of the many ways that we are making strides in the race to create the world's most sustainable package. And with that, I will take some questions.
All right, man. Sometimes these sentences look much better on the screen than when we say them out loud, Jordan? So thank you very much, Jordan. That was very informative. We've got some questions coming in. So let's have a look at what we've got so far. Here's one. Cartons are recyclable, but since they are multi-layer and include several materials, how are they recycled?
Sure, that's a great question. So cartons can take one of two paths in the realm of recycling. The first path is it can be used as a full carton and to make a building material, green building material, which is actually a replacement for OSB plywood as a roof sheeting or a wall sheeting as well. And that uses the full carton ground up and they're pressed into the material boards. A second way that cartons can make their way back into a recycling stream is through the paper mill, where they are used in a pulping machine and they are pulped into fiber. And that fiber can make toilet paper, tissue paper, paper towels, office paper, a lot of different paper products. So, and you can learn about that more about how cartons are recycled on our Carton Council Canada website. And I think we can help with a link to that after my presentation.
Great. We've actually got one coming in through the Zoom question and answer window as well. Have we done testing in regards to the shelf life impact?
The shelf life impact. So LCA. So TetraPak has been involved in multiple life cycle analysis comparing different products to our product. Right off the top of my head, I will be honest, I've been with the company very short time, around 3 months, but there's a wealth of information and knowledge that this company can provide. And I do believe that there are some studies. And so if they would like to reach out to me, I can help with some of that information on maybe more of a specific of that question. But I know we have done plenty of LCAs comparing different product types to TetraPak. And I believe I will say we've done something on steel cans recart technology versus our packaging.
Great, thanks. Here's another one. The information on food waste and its impact on the environment you shared was really startling. How is TetraPak working to reduce food waste today?
Yeah, it's a great question. It really goes back to some of the main points that I made earlier about the aseptic packaging and processes that we invoked about 70 years ago. And so with that, we can really minimize food waste by eliminating the need for cold storage or cold distribution networks. Because those products don't require the refrigeration, they don't have to be thrown away if they get warm or if they sit on the shelf for a little bit of time. So a lot of these products, like milk doesn't last, more than I think 60 days once it's bottled and such and put into the plastic and in the shelves. However, a carton of milk on aseptic can last nearly a year on a store shelf, again, with no additives or preservatives. So we're working on that by really increasing our ambient distribution of our products and technology. And even where there is places like the chilled food distribution chain, it's a safety net to have ambient technology and cartons. Specific was a good example, right? Canadian weather that came down to Texas just a few weeks ago. There was a statistic like 8 million gallons of milk were being wasted across store shelves and from farms and everything, just because the distribution network had no power to keep stuff cold. And so it really goes back to this technology can enable us to help prevent food waste through the ambient packaging, aseptic packaging.
So 70 years, you guys have been around a long time. What are you looking at when in regards to ways to make your cartons biodegradable or more so than they are now?
And that's a really good question. I think it's one that is I think a lot of CPG or packaging companies are looking at as the shift to bio-based materials or plant-based materials. That secondary thought comes into, well, can it be biodegradable readily or compostable? And right now we are in our market, we are really not looking at biodegradability for our cartons. The cartons need to have a certain strength to retain their shape and integrity of the package. And so if you look at some of the biodegradable products, they're a little bit more loose so that they can break down when in the correct environment. But further, I've put the thought in people's head is look at the infrastructure that we have right now in the US and Canada, the billions of dollars of investment, the decades of education, infrastructure placement, all of the things that really make this go around, and look at our percentage rates. Recycling in America is pretty low as far as a percentage of recovery. In Canada, the system is better, but that's because there's some policies that help drive that. What we're really looking at, though, for the compost is as we shift towards more compostable materials, the question is have we really utilized the system or even tried to address the problems in our current recycling system enough to all of a sudden shift to a brand new system that's very in its infancy as far as having around 200 facilities or less in America and so on. So long-winded answer there, but cartons being biodegradable, not in the future, in the real, I guess, near future, but possibly a long-term thought as things keep developing.
Great, Jordan. It looks like that's all the questions we have for now. Thank you very much. I'm still trying to figure out if you called me fossil-faced at some point in your presentation, but maybe you're referring to something else. So that concludes Jordan's presentation. Thanks again. We will now have a networking trade show break, and during the break, don't forget to visit the exhibit hall and showcase where our exhibitors will be sharing some of their top packaging ideas. Be sure to come back at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for our second live keynote with Jorge Izquierdo, Vice President, Market Development at PMMI, with an outlook on packaging and processing operations in 2021. Again, thank you again, Jordan, and to everybody else. We'll see you at 2 p.m.
My pleasure. Thanks again, Kyle.
Thank you.